And if you add up all these things, then your total compensation could be 3 times that of your base salary. Because in any other profession in Canada, I have not seen interns make this much salary, where their total compensation is in the range of $1 million per year, which is what's up YouTube. It's Shivansh here. I hope you all are doing well. If you are new to this channel, then welcome. My name is Shivansh and I've been working in Canada as a software engineer for the last 6 years. And over the last 6 years, I've seen all sorts of crazy compensation numbers for software engineers working in Canada on both sides of the spectrum. Some people are severely underpaid, especially at the very beginning of their career as a software engineer. And on the other hand, there are software engineers who are very generously being compensated for their experience and the skills that they bring to the table to a company. But we all know that software engineering is one of the highest paid professions all across the world, and Canada is no exception to that. And that's why in today's video, we're going to discuss in detail what do the salaries of software engineers look like in Canada, starting from early stage professionals or early career professionals such as interns, all the way to seasoned software engineering professionals. So whether you are a software professional looking for a job in Canada, or you are a student who wants to decide whether software engineering is the right career for you or not, then this video is going to be extremely useful for you. But before we begin, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because your support is extremely important for the growth of this channel. And if you like and share this video with your friends and family, then YouTube will show this video to a lot more number of people, and that will help my channel in a big way. So please make sure to do that. And with that being said, let's dive into salaries of software engineers in Canada. Alright, so first let's talk about interns or co-op students. Now, if you don't already know this, a lot of companies, especially tech companies in Canada, have this culture of hiring interns and co-op students from some of the good colleges and universities in Canada. Now, I've worked on teams which hire co-op students every single semester. So every 4 months, there was a co-op student dedicated for that specific team. But most companies that I've seen usually hire interns at least during the summer months. And depending on the company that you're working for, the work that you might get to do as an intern will differ significantly. For example, some companies have very specific work cut out for interns, but then there are other companies that treat their interns just like any other full-time employee at that company or in that team. So in that case, you end up working on the same things that other software developers on the team are working on. But in either case, you'll end up getting a lot of exposure and you'll learn a lot as a software engineering intern at a company. And mostly interns are not really expected to lead a project or own a feature, but if you do get a chance to be an intern at a tech company, then you should definitely try to take the initiative and take on as much initiative as possible in owning projects or small features that you can implement on your own. Because if you end up exceeding expectations and delivering on small valuable features, then the company might give you an opportunity to work for them even after you graduate as a full-time employee. And this is why co-op internships are a great way to secure a full-time job even before you graduate. And as a software engineering intern, you can expect to earn anywhere from $27 per hour to $45 per hour, depending on your school year and the amount of previous internship experiences that you've had. If this is your very first internship term, then obviously you'll earn a little less. But as you get into your final years or final semesters, your per hour salary will definitely go up as an intern. And even $27 per hour is a pretty generous salary, especially in Canada, because in any other profession in Canada, I have not seen interns make this much salary when it's just their first work term. And in my personal opinion, the intern life is the best phase of a software engineer's career, because as an intern, there are no real expectations from you. And usually I've seen that the interns are the ones that are making the most that a company has to offer, whether it's taking part in fun activities or events that are being organized by a company, playing ping pong or video games, or getting free food at the office. Whatever a company has to offer, the interns are always making the most of it. Alright, so the next category is of software engineers 1 and 2, which basically means early career software professionals, which could include fresh graduates right out of school or people who have 1 to 4 years of work experience. Now, at this stage, you are a full-time employee at a company and you're expected to perform at par with other employees within the company. And your main responsibilities at this point as a software engineer would be able to understand as much as possible the code that's written by other engineers within the company, making smaller contributions to a project and implementing small independent features, being able to understand the requirements and guidelines set by other senior engineers within the team, communicating effectively, and then also reaching out to other senior people for help whenever you're hitting any roadblocks. And as a young software engineering professional, you might get an opportunity to own smaller features or small independent projects. And whenever you do get an opportunity like that, you should definitely grab it with both your hands, because these are the opportunities where you might be able to make a huge impact within the organization that you're working for, even as a junior developer. But the major expectations at this point in your career would be to able to to follow instructions, communicate effectively, and try to contribute as much as possible while you are still getting familiar with the company's products and the code base. And therefore, as an early career software engineer in Canada, you'll be able to make anywhere from 55,000 Canadian dollars all the way to 110,000 Canadian dollars. Now, I know that this is a pretty wide range, but the reason for that is that if you're working for a big tech company, the Microsoft, Amazon, and Metas of the world, then in that case, you can easily expect to earn over 100,000 Canadian dollars right out of school or with just a few years of experience. But for most Canadian tech companies, the salaries are much lower than that, and the average could be around 70,000 Canadian dollars. But keep in mind that for this level and for the next levels, this is just the base salary, and your overall compensation can be a lot higher than this depending on the company that you're working for and the different components that they might offer in terms of total compensation. And if you add up all these things, then your total compensation could be 3 times that of your base salary, which is definitely a huge increase. We'll talk more about this point later in this video, so make sure to keep watching. The next stage for a software professional is the mid-career stage, where you usually have about 4 to 8 years of industry experience. At this point, you've been in the tech industry for a while and you're familiar with the best practices, the tools that are being commonly used, and are comfortable with the different software engineering design pattern. And at this point, you've also picked up some sort of specialization. It could be front-end engineering, back-end engineering, DevOps engineering, or even blockchain for that matter. So you are sort of perceived as a subject matter expert in your domain, and the general expectation at this point in your career would be to mostly operate independently without seeking much help from senior engineers, and also providing mentorship to junior engineers and interns. You'll have a lot more ownership in the projects that you'll be working on and how specific features would get implemented, and you also might end up conducting interviews, so you're basically on track to becoming a tech lead or an engineering manager in the next few years. And therefore, the average base salary for a mid-level software professional in Canada is around 100,000 to 170,000 Canadian dollars, and depending on the type of company and the industry that you're working on and the type of domain-specific knowledge that you might possess, you might end up being on the higher end of the spectrum. For example, in today's time, AI or ML engineers and crypto developers are paid a lot more than a regular front-end or a back-end software developer. So having some sort of a domain expertise definitely gives you an edge, and that certainly reflects on your compensation as well. And finally, once you cross the 8-year mark as a software engineer, you're considered as a senior engineer, and at this point you can decide whether you want to continue down the technical track, where you'll be designing the architecture of the different products that are being developed by your company, and you'll be guiding other software engineering teams within your company on how they should go about designing their products and services. Or on the other hand, if you're not interested in staying an individual contributor anymore, then you can go down the management route, where you'll end up becoming an engineering manager, and your responsibilities will include not only managing people but also deciding what projects an engineering team should work on. And on the management track, you could end up becoming a director, a VP, or even the CEO of your organization. So regardless of which track you end up choosing, you're definitely given a lot more responsibilities and you get a lot more ownership over the kind of work that you'll do. And that's why at this level, you're very generously compensated for your work, with average salaries ranging from 155K to 250K Canadian dollars. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, these are just the base salaries for software engineers, and depending on the type of company that you work for, your total compensation could be a lot more than your base salary. For example, some companies offer a very generous year-end bonus to all their employees, and this bonus could range from 10% to 50% of your base salary. Similarly, if you work for a big tech company, a huge portion of your total compensation is in the form of stocks of that company. And for startups and private tech companies, you might end up getting stock options or ESOPs. Now, whether you'll be getting any of these additional things as part of your total compensation or not depends a lot on the company that you're working for. Some companies may not give you anything other than your base salary, but then there are other companies who might end up giving you a handsome bonus and a huge stock-based compensation in addition to your base salary. And trust me, there are people working at big tech companies who have had a really high impact within their organization, where their total compensation is in the range of $1 million per year, which is more than 3 times the average base salary for their specific level. And at that level, you're so valuable to the company that your base salary doesn't even matter. Your total compensation is directly a result of the amount of efforts that you put in and the impact that you're able to generate within your company. So I hope this video gave you some motivation and gave you a good understanding of what the salaries of software engineers look like in Canada. If you have any questions, then let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them for you. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Shivansh Singla 119, because I post a lot of useful videos on Instagram as well, and I'm sure you'll not be disappointed. And if you haven't already, then please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on any updates. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.